First. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We were just talking about like the opening night jitters, but it's exciting. We're all here now. Just giving everyone a little more time to come in, but we're going to have a great panel group today to speak about commercial real estate, everything about commercial real estate, and demystifying, making it simple. So a lot of veterans in this this panel, and we are going to share so much about how, if you're interested in CRE at different levels, that you're new to the business, you got your residential, you're doing residential deals, you're the dreaded resi-mercial, or you are already doing commercial real estate for many years. There's going to be a lot that people there's going to be a lot of information for at any degree that you're at for you to take away. So we're really excited to get this started and really share the experience for those that want to really upgrade their skill into commercial real estate from these knowledgeable experts on what you can do. So I'll kind of get started with our, with our panelists. We'll start first with Todd Vitzhum. If everyone knows Todd, if you don't mind introducing yourself, a little short, brief bio, because we'll do a longer one at the end.
Jim, thank you, and thanks for having me. And first, let me just say congratulations on putting this together. I think it's awesome. I feel honored to be a part of the first call. I know a lot of what you do comes from a place of kind of giving back and helping people in the career, and you've shaped the career of a lot of people, including mine. So congratulations on this, and thanks for doing it. So yeah, I've been in commercial real estate for over 20 years. I'm in the multifamily sector. We do everything apartment buildings. We do development, we do existing, we do financing, and we have a national platform. So I'm the multi-housing guy.
Thank you, Todd. Michael?
Yeah, good morning. My name's Michael Hironimus. I am the principal at Duck Ridge Realty Advisors. We handle private portfolio and asset management for high net worth clients. Been in the business for about 18 years, started in private equity, was a broker for 10 years, and now I do portfolio and asset management. And really thank you, James, for having me on.
Thank you, Michael. And also I would say, AI expert. So this is kind of fun too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Eric Powers.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Jim. My name's Eric Powers. I kind of hate to admit it, but I've been in the commercial real estate game for 38 years. So I must have started early, which I did. I'm excited to just hang out with you fellas for a little bit, and gals and guys, and talk a little bit about commercial real estate. I split my time between Charlotte, North Carolina, Lake Norman area, and Bakersfield, California. I spend more time in Charlotte because the taxes are lower. And I'm also the chief sales officer and a partner in the Abundant Broker, which is a commercial real estate training platform where we train brokers on how to build business plans and become successful. And that's about it. I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. And as you can see, everyone here has an abundance of experience, been around from, I would say, minimum with Michael, maybe 15 years to like Eric, almost 40 years in the business. So a wealth of knowledge and really watching different market cycles, the different changes, like the change in the Great Recession back in 2007, 2009. So I'd like to first start out with, as they always say, when should you start commercial real estate, right? Good time, bad time, what time, right? Should you start being involved in the commercial real estate world? So Michael, I'd like to give it to you first what are you seeing currently in the commercial real estate market right now?
Yeah, well, talking with brokers. So I also, I didn't say this in the intro, but I'm also with CCIM Institute. For those of you who don't know, CCIM is Certified Commercial Investment Member. It's under the NAR umbrella, and it's a provider of education for commercial real estate brokers. I'm a senior instructor for them. I teach their 102 market analysis. And so I get to go around sort of to all over the nation and get perspectives from different commercial real estate brokers. And it really depends on what asset class you're in, but a lot of them are cautiously optimistic, I would say. They had their best years in 2022, and 2023 was sort of an about face a little bit. But they're hoping that transactions will come back. We're in a down cycle, obviously, for those of you who have felt the pain. It really depends on the asset class too, though. For a lot of brokers, in industrial, it's still going strong. That was sort of the darling of the pandemic, was industrial, as e-commerce began to increase over that time. But they've started to see pullback, right? We've seen supply start to catch up with demand in that regards. Multifamily, I bet Todd could probably do a much better job than me on that. But it depends on which region you're in. But in many areas, supply is catching up or exceeding demand, and so we're starting to see pullbacks, at least increases in rents. Office is office, unfortunately. If you're in the office, what used to be a pretty stable asset type has now become sort of the poster child for the distress that we've seen in this market. And then retail has been going back and forth, hanging on a little bit. We've got several retail strip malls. Leasing has actually been fairly steady, so that's been great. But obviously there are challenges out there in the market. In high interest rates, the Federal Reserve continues to keep their interest rates high, which is affecting not only the cost of capital, but also where cap rates are going, because they typically follow. So cap rates are starting to increase. That's not doing well for valuations. And so that's why we're at this little sort of impasse between buyers and sellers. Buyers want 2022 prices, or sellers want 2022 prices. Buyers want current pricing. So we've got this bid-ask spread that's sort of putting a hamper on transactions for right now. So that's the current state.
Thank you, Michael. Eric, what are you seeing kind of training, teaching, wearing so many hats at different firms? What are you seeing in the that you could add on to Michael? I'm sure we're all hearing and seeing the same things.
Well, the funny part is I split my time between two markets. So the Charlotte, North Carolina market, Michael's exactly right. And I focus on industrial. I'm an executive vice president at Lee and Associates here. And so we're seeing industrial rents starting to taper off a little bit because vacancy is going up. A lot of the new starts are not happening now. We had 17 million square feet planned for Charlotte, and about 8 million of that has been put on hold. So, but it's ready to go when the market starts to catch up. So it'll be an interesting dynamic as far as in California. Inland Empire hasn't seen this high of vacancy rates in a long time. And now Amazon's coming in and taking advantage of that. And they just pulled down, I think, 1,800,000 feet and are looking for more. So, every market's got its own dynamics. So if you're in, Provo, Utah, or if you're in, Irvine, they all have their own dynamics. And so that's understanding your market and specializing in an area gives you the leg up. So I'm sure when we talk a little bit more about what we're doing in our markets to find success, I would say that being the expert and the go-to expert in your market is critical at this point in time. So anybody can stumble across a small deal and make one happen. So, but it takes an expert to do the larger deals. And if you contrast that with, the average residential sale is 465,000, something like that. The average commercial deal is 2.4 million. So when you look at residential transitioning over into a commercial role, there's lots of opportunity, but there's a lot of nuance and a lot of things that have to come along with it. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that in a few minutes.
Eric, thank you. Actually, that's a perfect segue for specialization. And we all say the easiest way for a lot of residential agents is in the multifamily space. Todd does lead our multifamily practice at EXP. So Todd, I'd love to share, maybe the nuances, general to multifamily and definitely in the finance capital markets.
Yeah, thanks. And, Michael and Eric hit on a couple of really key points that I'll just kind of segue on. So to Michael's point, the overarching theme in the industry right now is there's uncertainty, right? Nobody really knows what interest rates are going to do, what cap rates are going to do. So when people aren't certain, they tend to do nothing. And in 2023, transactional activity in the multifamily category was down 70%. And that's pretty scary to people that have been in the business for a long time. But when one door closes, or what's the expression? When a window closes, someone opens a door, there's a new category of opportunity. So I would say now is a very good time to step into the business, to take a little bit of a different approach, a little bit of a different strategy, or to shift your methodology. What we've done, instead of just doing traditional brokerage, is we're providing capital market services. So we do debt and equity, right? And when deals stop selling, people start refinancing, people are looking for capital infusion. So presenting yourself as more of a holistic service provider. We talk a lot about this, putting other tools in your toolbox. The other overarching theme that, Eric mentioned that is incredibly critical is asset class, right? People tend to lump all commercial real estate into one category. And right now that category is distressed, right? And we all read the news feeds and the world is ending, but in office, the fundamentals, which are supply and demand, are probably not going to return to pre-COVID in our lifetime. The office sector has changed permanently, right? I'm working from home. I never thought I could work from home. The fundamentals of multi-housing have never been better, supply and demand. We are dramatically undersupplied on a national level, but what's confusing about that is you read something about oversupply in certain core Sunbelt markets. Well, right now, 18% of the entire inventory in Austin, Texas is under construction. But that's because institutional capital drove production build in those markets, and that faucet for new supply has been completely shut off. 2024, we'll see 500,000 units delivered nationally. 2025, we'll see less than 100,000. So we've stopped producing, and the reason we've stopped producing multi-housing is because of the interest rate environment. The definition of feasibility is something has to be worth more finished than it costs to build. And the simple valuation associated with cap rate correlating to interest rate is that it's worth less now than it costs to build. So we're going to be dramatically undersupplied for many years, which bodes well for rent growth. So bottom line is the multifamily sector is thriving. It's alive and well. We're going to see a return to transactional activity in the next couple of years. It's an easy asset class to transition from residential to multifamily. And I would encourage anyone to really take a look at multifamily. I think that industry is going to explode in the next couple of years.
And Todd, when is your classes that you have? Maybe
We
you
have
can type that in.
Yeah, I will share that in the show notes, but we have a monthly call. We have a national team. There's 137 people. And everybody talks about their respective submarkets. Real estate is very, very submarket nuanced. So it's great to hear from other people in other parts of the country. I'm in San Francisco, and it's all doom and gloom. But I get on the phone with someone in Dallas, and it's never been better. So yeah, we do that once a month. I'll put that in the notes and would welcome anyone on that call.
Thank you, Todd. And Eric, being around a couple of cycles, we always know, good markets is more brokers all in the markets competing, bad markets is no one but the deals. So when you started in the industry, what year and really what did you do? What did you practice as an asset class? And is this a good time to be in CRE right now?
So when I started, I had really nice hair, and now I've got a lot of gray hair. And that every cycle adds about 30% more gray hair. So the good news is I've kept it, but I haven't pulled it all out yet. I think that, and what we teach in the Abundant Broker course, when you build your business model, when you structure your business, whether you're focused on multifamily, whether you're focused on office, industrial, retail, whatever you're focused on, becoming the expert in that. And we teach, start in a what we call an MSA, a market, and this is a market specialty area, not as other people define MSA, but a market specialty area. So I'm going to focus on industrial in Bakersfield, California, on the north side of town, and I'm going to specialize in buildings 5,000 feet to and up. And you start with 300 buildings. So we teach you how to build that MSA, contact, update your database, touch 12, every one of those owners and tenants, you touch them 12 times a year. And as you do that, you can begin to scale it. So now maybe you want to pick up the 5,000 feet and up. And then maybe you want to expand your geography. And that's how we teach you to scale your commercial brokerage business. But you've got to start somewhere. And that is becoming the expert in a small geographic area in a certain product mix. That MSA has to be able to support the commission earnings that you want. Your cycles are going to go up and down. The only thing that you really change if you built your business and structured it right is the size of your market area and the type of product mix and the number of calls that you make. So I make 200 cold calls a week. That's my goal, and I try and hit that, and I hold myself accountable to it. I have some accountability partners. I have 3 junior brokers that work with me. I do the same thing. We all hold each other accountable. In a market like this, you probably need to make 400 calls a week. It's definitely a math equation. There are still deals happening. Every time you open CoStar, these guys did a $127 million deal in the Bay Area. This guy did 100,000 foot down the road, and you're hearing all about deals happening in your market, and those are going to the people that specialized in that product. Anybody can sell Uncle Ted's automotive shop down the street. Not everybody's going to do 1,800,000 feet for IKEA. The only people that are going to do those deals are the people that specialized and become the expert for that area and product type. So in a market like this, double your calls.
Thank you, Eric.
So.
And Michael, when you first started in brokerage, before you became a CCIM and then an instructor, then senior instructor, how did you see everything when you started? And I think you started during the Great Recession, right? Coming out of it?
Well, no, I started in 2005, started on the private equity side, and everything was golden for while I was getting my feet wet. It was great time. And then all of a sudden the rug got pulled out from under me. So I would absolutely say Eric is right on. I wish I had taken his class when I was a junior broker. Yeah, it's about networking. It's about, what we say is that we're exchangers of information, right? And the more information that you have at your fingertips, the better equipped you are to do your job. I would say you're out there, you're networking with other brokers, you're networking with, there's so many associations out there that you can expand your sphere of influence and also learn from others, right? Because you want to be a sponge. You want to soak up as much as you can, and not only on transactionally, like Eric's talking about, but just knowledge of who's in the market, who's out there. There are so many, I explain in my classes that, go to Chamber of Commerce meetings. That, they're the people that are doing the deals. They're in the market. Go there. Talk to your local economic developers. They're the ones that know what's happening in your market. They're the ones that are trying to pull in businesses into the area. Network with those types of people. Network with mortgage brokers. Network with title people. Just get out there and let them know that you're in the market, you're doing business, but also try to elicit some information, because information, especially when things start to go sideways, is key. So that would be my 2 cents as well.
I love that we all know with technology and everything else, that's great. It makes us more efficient. I know when probably Eric and many of us, when we started database, right, it was on a piece of paper. We used Excel until we made Excel better. I was just there, Eric, when they used to use the photos in a stamp, right? We used to Polaroid stuff that we used to put it in the deck and share it. There was very little. So the difference between all this technology, right, which is very efficient and helps us to the point of the network, right, the associations. Now, I mean, how does that help you? Because I know you shared stories when you were with NAI was kind of the best time of your life. And I know you're very close and friends with everyone still in that network.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys hopefully this will be worth the price of admission for the class and for you investing your time sitting here today. Okay. And here it is. All the technology in the world, all the great databases that are sitting out there that you have access to, CoStar, Crexi, Hironimus, all that data does not account for the most important thing in commercial real estate. And I'm going to tell you what the number one most important thing in commercial real estate is. It's living data. Just remember I said that, living data. That is not data that exists in CoStar. That is not data that exists out on the internet. It is being out on the golf course with the developer who looks at you after 3 beers and 4 bogeys and says, I think I want to sell my building. That's living data. You're not going to find it on the internet. And you're definitely not going to find it sitting in front of your computer on your butt. You got to get out there, okay? And you got to talk to people, meet people, and gather living data. Because when you get the living data, you're the only one with that. And you're the only one that can capitalize on that. And you're the only person in the world that knows that at that point in time. 2 days later, everybody's going to know because he's probably going to say, hey, I decided to sell my building. So that's your bonus tip for the day, living data. And it's always been true, by the way. In 1987 or whatever it is I started in this business, that was true then. And it's true in 2004 as we sit here. And it will continue to be true as long as humans continue to make decisions on what they're going to do with their real estate.
Eric, I love that. And Todd, I just want to bring this to you because we started at Marcus. We were making cold calls like crazy and everything. They didn't really tell us to network that much until we found out, right? Like you're part of country clubs and other things later. So let's say from the cold calling part of Marcus all the way to, your circle of influence and getting out there to press the flesh and doing some fun things with your clients.
Well, it's interesting. I love listening to guys like Eric. I still learn from people who have been in the business for a long time, and exactly what he's saying is true. It all comes down to the right answer is always work harder, right? And I learn a lot from people who have been in the business for a long time that right now, and one of the things I really want to convey to people on this call is there is room for you in this business, right? Someone said to me once, seems like there's a lot of people in commercial real estate and multifamily, but I said, there's a lot of restaurants out there, but when a new one opens up and it's good, it's crowded, right? So there's the traditional way of approaching this business, and it really is a very archaic business, and it's establishing those fundamental disciplines. But I'm also learning a lot from people who are new into the business, people who bring a new, fresh perspective. And when we got into the business, Jim, we were in the cubes at Marcus Millichap. There were 26 guys in the cubes in my office in Long Beach, and I think 4 made it in the business. And the reason is everybody thinks there's commercial real estate companies. There's a marquee with a lot of independent contractors working underneath that marquee, and they're all trying to put all the pieces together that are necessary to build that business. And what you default to is you chase deals. You're not building a business, you're chasing deals. So you'll identify an opportunity. If you're lucky, you get to list it. That deal progresses, you put it in escrow. If it closes, you got to start your business all over. If it doesn't close, you're out of the business, right? So when I say build a business, and this is exactly what Eric was saying, identify your marketplace. Remember Linwood Thompson at Marcus? He came in after I'd been in the business for 6 months. He gave a half-an-hour speech to our rookies, and it's forever changed the way I've thought about doing business. Identify your marketplace. There's 1,000 buildings. Within those 1,000 buildings, there's 400 unique owners. Call those owners, and yes, call them once every 6 months, but when you call them, capture their email address and then start the traditional practice of communicating with them via email. We never used to do that, right? We'd stuff envelopes and do direct mailers and cold calls. I see a lot of the businesses that residential agents are building. Residential, if you sell a deal or a house, you've got to go back tomorrow and start over, right? So you're constantly prospecting, you're building a business, you're marketing, you're branding, you're doing direct mailers. if you apply some of those simple disciplines to commercial real estate, you're going to be successful very quickly, because a lot of guys who have been in the business for a long time, they start doing more deals with less people and they stop prospecting. So to Eric's point, return to fundamentals. You got to work hard, but also build a business. Don't just chase deals.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue where, Michael, the good thing is you train, teach all around the country, and the world sometimes. And you've also been in private equity, then finance, but also as a broker. I mean, what are you seeing with new agents from a CCIM great standard course that everyone should get? But we all know that's book knowledge, technical knowledge versus practicality. What are you telling your students when you talk to them?
Yeah, once again, just going out and exactly what Eric and Todd are saying. Going out, getting that live data, understanding, when I first got into the business, I didn't know my market at all. I didn't really know the asset type. And calling is fantastic. The other thing that I did was I went and I was doing industrial real estate in South San Francisco. And I went out and I walked every single street and went ahead and noted, met with the owners, understood who was the tenant in the was it an owner user property or was it an investment property? The information that's in CoStar, the information that's in LoopNet, the information that's in Crexi is great, but a lot of time it's not accurate. In industrial, you want to know how many dock doors does it have? What's the staging like? How many grade level doors? What's the clear height? How much office is there? You can't get that information by sitting in your office. You have to go out, you have to beat the street, take a flyer, tell them about the deal that happened down the street, shake hands with them, look them in the eye. These are the base hits that you do when you're starting in this market. You can then go back to your office, update your CRM with accurate information that you got while you were on the street. And now you're so much more powerful because you have real life information, like Eric's talking about, that living data. There's nothing like it if you're starting out, that you can leverage that living data, that real-time data, and keep doing it. Keep walking that street. Keep dialing those people. That's the best advice that I can give at this point.
And this is where I want, for those that are considering CRE or in CRE, we all know the big changes, the difficulty. Independent, by yourself, part of a team, part of a group, part of a large company, because all of us have been in all different aspects of independent, agent, have our own broker's license through our careers, joined a team, joined a small company, residential doing commercial company, franchise commercial company, to the large companies. Eric, what would you say, and I know it could be a variety, but what would be your advice in all those aspects? And that's a lot if you're kind of entering into this real estate industry. I mean, what would you say, if you talk to your younger self again, how would you have started?
Well, I would have bought Bitcoin. That would have been a good start. But I would have bought a lot of it. No, I think that, looking back on my career, I've been fortunate, Jim. I mean, I've closed almost $2 billion worth of commercial real estate deals, and, probably sold 50,000 acres, 50 million square feet. And I've done a lot of small deals, and I've done some big ones. I think the biggest one was 1.8 million square foot warehouse I did for IKEA at Tejon Ranch. And I did a million square feet for Target, 2 million feet for Walmart. And when you start to get into those bigger deals, the only reason I was able to do those is because I was the expert and I was focused. So I wouldn't change a whole lot. What I'm doing now is I'm building teams. So I have a team here in North Carolina and I have a team in California. And I've got some young guys and I'm just working them like rented mules. And they are going out and they're doing great. So I'm super happy with them. But we have accountability, and you know what? I'm standing right next to them. I leave for California this Saturday. I'll be out there for 10 days. And I stand right next to them and I do the work right alongside of them. So if you're looking at getting into this, I don't recommend going out and hiring a coach that hasn't made their living doing this. There's a lot of professional instructors out there that are teaching you a lot of theory, and they're reading a lot of, they read twice as many sales books as you, so they sound really smart, but they haven't made their house payment on their credit card because they haven't closed a deal yet. I have, right? Jim, you have. We talked about it the other day. We've made our house payments on the credit card. We know what it's like to struggle in a down market. And so those are the types of mentors, coaches, and teachers. If you're going to bring on a mentor, make sure that they've done it, and that they're going to stand right next to you and walk you through it and do it with you. If you don't have that, keep looking, because that's the only way you're going to. If I were to go back and talk to my old self, besides the Bitcoin thing, I would have said get a mentor that I could have stayed with throughout that entire career. Unfortunately, the first mentors I had retired, things like that, or I made them so much money they retired. I should say that. And that's the way I look at it. Stick with the mentor that's going to stand next to you and not just tell you how to do the business, but do it with you.
Eric, I love that. And Michael, going to you, because you've gone through being the broker, teaching, and I know, getting the CCIM a credential, I'm sure you got to practice, you got to show portfolio. What would you tell everyone? Because this is the thing. There's a lot of people that have never done, but teach, right? But what teachers, what mentors would you pick, knowing everything especially, being a senior instructor at CCM and producer, kind of wearing so many hats? I mean, what would your advice be to anyone new into this business?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the benefits of CCIM, is that you have to be a practitioner if you're going to be an instructor. Going to Eric's point, we're not theoretical. We're not college level where nobody's actually ever done a deal. These are practitioners. These are experts in their markets that go out and teach and explain how these things actually are applied in the real world. So I 100% agree with what Eric's point is. Make sure that who you're aligning yourself with has done it, has been there, done that, and especially has been through a downturn. Because if you haven't been through a downturn before, there's different things that you have to be able to accomplish. The other thing that I would just mention is, just from my personal experience, I was so happy to just get into the business that I didn't really think through sort of the business aspect of it and the mentorship aspect of it. And it's hard to say to somebody who's getting into the business, because once again, they're just so excited to do it. But, I would make sure that whoever you're going to be working with, your mentor, your senior broker, your managing broker at the office, just make sure they're in the same alignment of values, things that you want to accomplish. Make sure that they have the support systems there. There's a lot of companies that just hand you a desk, hand you a phone, and say good luck. I would align yourself with the brokerage that has ongoing education, like, Jim and his firm, and a lot of them out there where, they offer this back end support. They offer continuing education. And, I would just try to do it that way as well. Just don't be handed a phone and a desk and hope you're going to make it, because you really need a lot of support. It takes a village. And so that would be my advice.
Thank you, Michael. Todd, right? We came from M&M. It was almost, right? They think it's the industry standard of successful commercial brokers. Can you share a little what we had to go through and what your advice would be now to the younger Todd, right? Going into Marcus or not?
A lot of that trauma I've blocked out of my life and worked out through therapy. But no, listen, what Michael and Eric are saying, I mean, these are truly pearls of wisdom. And I think what Michael kind of touched on is, work with a mentor who has your best interest at heart, right? And that's a simple thing to say, but it's a very, very hard thing to find. You want someone who wants you to become successful, who abides by the theory of abundance, right? And there's a lot of old school mentality in our industry. And I was on a panel once early in my career after I'd had some success, and we were talking about what Eric was talking about, team building, right? And there were a lot of people that had been in the business for a long time who came from the mentality of, why would I ever train my competition, right? They're just going to become successful and leave my team. So what you see a lot of times on teams, or when you start working with a mentor, is they silo their team, right? You're the marketing guy, you're the analyst, I'm the rainmaker. I'm not going to teach you the tricks of the trade or the secrets to the industry. But if you find someone who abides by the theory of abundance and is vested in your success, which is really how I've always approached the business, you create a lifelong partner, right? And that's what I want to do. I want to find people who you don't have to know everything in the world about the business. You just kind of have to know someone who does, who's willing to share that information with you. So when we build a team, we start with the right people, right? You can start with the right people, anything's possible. You start with the wrong people and nothing's possible. So we are much more focused on finding someone with the right attitude towards the business than the right resume, right? I'll take someone who is willing to work hard and participate in a team over someone who's been doing this for 10 years and has had success, because we can teach you how to execute on the fundamentals. And those are the type of people that I want to be partners with. I've been very, very fortunate. And Jim, you and I have talked a lot about this, but the culture that our current company XP has cultivated is people are drawn to this platform that are very collaborative. So there are businesses, there are offices, there are companies out there that perpetuate this old school mentality. Recognize that early in your career and stay away from it. You know, the old adage, you don't quit your job, you quit your boss. That just means you're working with the wrong person, right? Find the right people first. And it's not just someone who's got all the knowledge, but someone who has your best interest and success at heart.
I want to give this a more interactive to give anyone a chance to speak to our guests, because this group right here has a wealth of knowledge, experience, wore many different hats. So just kind of put your hand up or use the hand thing if you have any questions, you know, for the panelists, because this is a rare opportunity. We get everyone in one room with this amount of knowledge and experience from many different, I would say, decades of experience. There's got to be a question.
I think Maxwell asked a question in the chat, Jim, about the discussion on marketing listings. I don't know if that's something you want to do or not. But.
Sure, yeah. Let's talk about it. In this world with technology, everything. Eric, let's say start. How would you market your listings and deals?
Well, fortunately, I have a team behind me that does that. So we use Build Out. We use Build Out CRM, and we're using the Build Out syndication function. So we get a listing, it goes out. We pump it out on LinkedIn. We pump it out on Facebook, Instagram. So essentially, you know, you're getting it out to the best of all worlds. But if you were to ask me, hey, pick one, I would 100% tell you Crexy. So, and then here's why, is because when you have a Crexy premium subscription, you get a notification every time somebody looks at your property. We have it automated, so if anybody downloads a brochure, they get an email instantly from me or one of my teammates that says, hey, I noticed you just looked at our listing. I can't do it as much as the team, and this is why I have a team, but we try and call that person, even if it's a broker, within 5 to 10 minutes of the time they look at the listing. So that's the metric I use, because when somebody's looking at your property, there's a reason, and they're hot to trot on it. So I would say if you had to use one listing service, Crexy would be it.
Thank you. Michael, you talk to a lot of tech people doing tech. I mean, what would your suggestion be?
Well, you know, I do a lot of tech, and you should be using tech. I'm going to take a little more of an alternative approach to it. You know, I've done quite a few deals where, well, for example, I did a deal maybe about 5 years ago. A buddy had called me up, and I wasn't even brokering at the time. But a buddy had called me up and he said, can you help me with this building? And found out that they were right next door, and they wanted to expand to the building that was right next to them. And so, yes, I did the deal for them. Well, if that broker had just called the people that were right next to them, he would have double-ended the deal. He would have got the deal on both sides. If you get a listing, call everybody within a radius, tell them about your listing, broadcast it out there, because you know what? You're not only going to tell them about your listing, You may even pick up another listing by doing that. Or you'll talk to a tenant that says, oh, I was thinking that building won't work for me, but we were thinking about moving. There's amount of information that is out there, is at your fingertips. You just have to go out there and grab it. So I don't do brokerage, and I don't have any listings anymore. We oversee brokerage. So the thing that I always say is, what have you done to market the property? And they better have a good program. They better have a good plan. And they better be talking to the people that are adjacent to that listing. So that's my 2 cents.
Todd, you want to add anything? Because that's the M&M. When we get a listing, we call everybody in our marketplace.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want anyone else to know about it. None of the other brokers get to learn about your listings, right? So, listen, I'm in the Bay Area, right? And it's easy to go down that technology rabbit hole. And there's a lot of people out there building these phenomenal tools with this incredible software, and you can lose yourself, right? But I would say establish some basic tools, the basic disciplines using a couple simple tools, and then expand as your business expands. Don't start by going down that technology rabbit hole. Eric mentioned Crexy. I think Crexy is a phenomenal platform. It's not just a listing platform where you post your sites. It's interactive. They blast it to their database, so people are being sent information about your deal. But build a database, right? Every time you're on the phone with anybody, you should be capturing their contact information. You should be capturing their email address, and it doesn't even have to be a complicated database. Build an Excel spreadsheet, right? And once you get a few hundred people on that spreadsheet, most brokers, their marketing process is the only thing they have to market is their deals, right? So they market those deals through Crexy, through CRM, through LoopNet. But if you build a database, you can start to communicate with people what your skill set is. And this is back to my point about the residential agents. I see this all the time, and I love it. We could all learn something from them on the commercial side, which is their marketing information about interest rates, about pricing, about velocity in your marketplace. They're communicating information, and I love that when I get that from residential agents. I want to know how many properties have sold in my neighborhood and what the price is, and different things like that. So if more people that were getting into the commercial side of it built a database, business 101, identify your audience, create some messaging, some content, and a delivery method to get that information to them, you're going to build a brand around yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to get a listing first or deals first. Just remember to build that database and do it as simply as you possibly can without getting pulled down that technology rabbit hole, because there's plenty of technology there to support you. It should make things more efficient for you, not more time consuming.
Yeah, and just for everyone, because as we have limited time, put all your questions. Top Agent Nation Alejandro and everyone will save it, and we'll try to get it back to everyone that's on the call as a special treat to blast. Ask any questions. So if you don't want to be on camera speaking, type it in because we'll answer it. So if we can, let's save the messages to answer any questions and get back to everyone. April, and then Bob, I'll talk about the elephant in the room with the value of representation. A lot of things that commercial real estate we're trained on is what's happening now into the residential world. But April, please ask your question first.
Hi, thank you. Great information, gentlemen. Todd, I checked out your website. I see that you're primarily, your listings and so forth are primarily in California. You've mentioned team several times as you were speaking. Are you interested in doing any type of partnerships in the Georgia area and perhaps expanding your reach there?
Well, let me just kind of put it to this. So I was with Lee and Associates. I was with Lee and Associates since October of last year in California. Here, I was with MAI in Charlotte. And so literally Monday of this week, I started with Lee here in Charlotte, and my guy showed up on Tuesday, so yesterday. So we're starting to build that out, and I've got to scale that first. So it's going to be a while before I can look to expand that. So
thank you. And I apologize. My question was to Todd.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Eric probably just gave you a better answer than I could, but my answer is absolutely. Again, I abide by the theory of abundance. There's so much business out there, and there is a trend in our industry where the secondary tertiary markets are really starting to attract a lot of attention. You know how during COVID, everybody moved from the city to, rural South Carolina and Georgia. So a lot of those markets that were not desirable investment markets that haven't historically been targeted by the service industry, brokers or debt and equity, there's a lot of opportunity in those markets. So I'd be very interested. And, the other thing we do too is we on our monthly call, we really try to break it down into some simple steps on, really what to do on day one. How to identify your market, how to identify transactional activity, how to identify your target client base. It's really pretty basic stuff. You can learn as you go, have a good mentor, but we're doing work across the country. I see there's Sonny Chung is on the call today. He's my affiliate partner in Dallas, and in a very short time, we've done some pretty amazing stuff in Dallas. We're moving into the Carolinas, so Georgia's a great market.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So now we want to kind of go with the elephant in the room with the NAR settlement. A lot of this was in commercial real estate, the value of representation, right? How do you get it? I think, Bob, right, that's what you wanted to know. Plus, remember now that with the MLS changes, this is what is the difference in commercial real estate. We really never had a one place to go, right? And technology, we had to, as Todd said, build our databases, connect. Michael said, call everyone around the area, use all these, whatever we did have to build it, find our buyers and everything else. That's why many of the brokers, when we got listings, we could double end and sell them. If it was priced right, we knew where to go. So kind of sharing now, Eric, let's start with you on, the value of representation right now on the buy side of residential. How do you share, and I think the paperwork and everything else to show that why they should choose you, and how do you get the exclusive on it?
Before I do that, I just want to say hi to the absolute OG, Tom Tron. Is that a beer you're drinking, Tom? You're my hero. So, I'm guessing it's apple juice, but anyway, as far as the value of representation, so if you don't get, you've got to remember your best customer is everybody else's best prospect, right? So if you don't solidify an agreement with your client in writing that you're representing them and you're entitled to a commission, then you are probably bungee jumping without the bungee. I mean, you need to have that agreement in writing. I typically add minimum fees into my agreements so that the client has to pay me a minimum fee. And that's, every client we work with, if we're just showing them properties or we are listing a property, obviously we're getting written agreements with them to make sure that we're covered on our fee. And we're starting to see, I actually have a listing in Mooresville that the seller is not paying a commission to the buyer's agent. So it's all over the material. It says you must get your fee from your buyer or tenant if it's a sale or lease. So I think you're going to see more of that in commercial, where that's why you have to get that agreement signed up front. If the commission is not coming from the seller or the landlord, you will pay me my commission. And then you have it's really obvious what they're going to do. You're going to calculate that into your offer. So, it's not, nobody's hiding anything.
Hey, Eric and Jim, the thing is, some of our folks on this call are residential or residential. And the thing I'd love for you guys to stress is commercial practitioners have always had exclusive buy agreement signed right up front before they started showing property, before anything. They had that agreement. So stress to the residential folks who might be looking into commercial that it's not something new. It didn't take a lawsuit for us to come to terms with our value, our net worth, our professionalism, what we bring to the table right from the get-go. And talk more about that if you wouldn't mind. You guys have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
Todd, you want to add that too?
Like I said, Tom, if you don't get it signed up front, it's bungee jumping without the bungee.
Yeah, I'll hit that real quick, Jim. So I remember something on my real estate exam about agency, right? Like, what do you do with the escrow deposit? Don't put it in your desk drawer. And who's your client, right? Agency 101. And revisit that, because it's really critical to understand who you are representing and who you have a fiduciary towards. And we've always been a listing-based model. We've had the good fortune of controlling inventory in our market. And what we do, and in California, everything's regulated, right? But agency disclosure is a critical part of what we do, and we have to identify who our client is. So make sure, in addition to covering the paperwork part of that, know who you're representing, right? If you're, and you can turn this into a great listing tool, a great listing presentation. Everybody says, well, I don't really want to list, but if you have a buyer, bring me a buyer. There's a couple of pages out of the playbook that you can respond to, which are, listen, if you've got 5 agents putting in 10% trying to find you a buyer, have one agent putting in 100% to represent you as a seller. To Eric's point, commission is all a function of purchase price. You're going to pay someone the same amount, and the probability of you netting higher proceeds if you have someone representing you is better if you have a listing dynamic. But if you don't have a listing, you represent one buyer. That means you can't go to 3 or 4 buyers and introduce an off-market deal. The minute you introduce it to one, you've established an agency dynamic. So if you're going to work the buy side, pick a good buyer, exactly to Tom's point, establish that agency dynamic with a representation agreement. It's not complicated, and there's a couple of ways to present that value proposition to your client, whether it's a seller or a buyer. But we've got a lot of I don't want to say tricks, but a lot of ways to present the value of representation in converting opportunities to controlled business. It's one of the things we cover in our kind of 101 course of multifamily.
That would be great, as we maybe add this as another panel to teach residential some of our tricks, tips. How do we do it? How do we convert? How do we add the value? So it's very transferable, right? To get the client and vet them, right? That you choose the winning client so you don't waste time. Michael, as an instructor, have you seen this starting to come up at CCIM? And, obviously the crossovers, and now with commercial brokers, strengthening it that maybe didn't get formally trained at these larger firms.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the commercial real estate brokers are most concerned about is that a lot of these residential brokers are suddenly going to flood the commercial market. And I hate to say it, but for commercial professionals who have who've dealt with a residential broker on the other side, it can be really frustrating because they're just starting out. They don't quite know everything. I would just and the other thing is you do have a fiduciary responsibility to understand your market, to understand the asset type. Just understand going in, what is your value proposition to whoever you're going to represent? What are the tools? What are the advice that you're going to be giving them? Just have a clear understanding of what that is before you just start wheeling and dealing, because these are big ticket items, right? And one screw up can put you in some pretty hot water. So I would just make sure, work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Make sure you know what your value proposition is, and just educate yourself to the best of your ability, because you don't want to get put in a position where you're putting your client in a real tough position, or in terms of negotiations, in terms of terms, deals, that way. So just know what your value proposition is going in ahead of time.
So I want to definitely be respectful, but if we can save the questions to add whatever you need, to give our panelists a chance to talk a little bit about themselves, what they're offering, their programs. Because one thing with Michael, I was at a audience member, but also a speaker at the CCIM SoCal event. And, this is how we learn, we network, we find other people virtually. Hopefully one day we could all meet each other in person. So I'd like to give our speakers a chance to really share a little bit more about themselves. Hold on. And Eric, if you don't mind kind of sharing a little bit about yours, and then just tell me when you want me to switch to the next screen.
Yeah, so I'm a broker. I'm proud of it. I'm a salesman. I'm proud of it. I just literally wear that badge with honor, and I love cold call. So I start there, and then my second passion, my second love is training. I love to train. And I love to train brokers and watch them. And it's kind of in my mission statement, which is up on my wall here: lift others while climbing. Okay, while you climb. And, you know, I love absolutely what Michael was saying about, you know, you have to really, before you go jump both feet into commercial real estate, you do have a fiduciary obligation to really understand what you're doing. So highly recommend the mentor program. I think EXP still has that. And have somebody alongside of you to make sure that you, because one step in the wrong mud puddle can sink you completely. So get some basic training, which we offer at Abundant Broker. So a good friend of mine, Mike Falk, wrote a book called, you know, Abundant Broker, how to make $100,000 or something in real estate. Anyway, Mike and I have been friends for 35 years, and he asked me to become a partner with him at Abundant Broker. And so the first thing I said is, you know, there's maybe 100,000 licensed commercial real estate guys that are people that are 100% focused on commercial real estate. There's 2 million residential agents out there that are not focused on commercial, but understand the value. And as I said earlier, the average residential transaction is 450,000, average commercial deal is 2.5 million. So it's pretty simple to understand that one deal is worth 5 deals in residential. If you want to get into residential, Michael was exactly right. Every commercial agent goes, oh God, you know, here comes somebody that just sold the house down the street, and now they want to sell a 20,000 foot office building. And there's a lot of hand holding involved in that. So learn something before you get into it. We are offering a navigating commercial real estate class. Myself and Jim Huang, I'm excited to, and I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to just say it anyway. And Jim, you can edit it out later if you want, but Jim has partnered with me to create this course, and I'm super excited about it. It's a 90-minute course. We're just forming the interest list right now. It's going to be less than $100. We're going to give you access to the Abundant Broker private Facebook group, which is where all of our trainees go in that private Facebook group and ask questions. And we post transactions, clients that you can chase in your market. We give a lot of great information. It's worth the price just to get into the Facebook group. It's a very tightly controlled, small group of brokers from all around the country, from different firms, from Lee & Associates, from NAI, from EXP Commercial. We've got brokers from all, and Colliers all around the different stratospheres. So take your phone out right now, if you wouldn't mind, because this is the only way you're going to find out about it. Just shoot that QR code and just go in and just drop your name and your email, and we'll let you know when the first class is going to start. I think we're going to do them at probably once a month. We'll see what kind of demand we get, but it'll be a 90-minute course that walks you through simple things like, you know, a lot of people don't understand cap rates. So if you'll look at my camera, I'm going to teach you about cap rates real quick. This is a real quick example. So if I wear my hat like this, I'm probably not going to get as many suitors. You know, I'm not going to get as much attention because I kind of look stupid wearing my hat like this. So that's a high cap. This is a low cap. It makes me much more attractive, right? So the lower the cap, the higher the price. The higher the cap, the lower the price, right? You want to buy a high cap, sell the low cap, right? So there's your quick cap rate answer. But
Thank you.
a couple of things that we teach things about how to calculate cap rates, those types of things. Again, join our course. It's a 90-minute course. It's under $100, and you're going to get a whole lot more value than that. So,
Todd, I know you're here at EXP, and then also, but I told everyone, please link in with everyone. If anything else, too, link in, connect. I did this with Michael when I was actually in the class when he was speaking. I connected with him, and now look at this. Todd.
Well, yes, thank you for mentioning that, Jim. I encourage everyone to reach out to us on LinkedIn. It's a great way to connect. I'm a late adopter to LinkedIn, but I'm catching up. And listen, I don't have a training platform. I don't know if anything I have to teach is worth much, but I can tell you this, and I know you believe in this too, Jim, that you get what you want in life by helping other people get what they want. And your career has really kind of emulated that, Jim. And what I basically want to do is what I wish someone would have done for me. If it took me 20 years to figure it out, I can probably explain it to someone in about 3 hours, right? There's nothing that we're doing here is rocket science. So when I'm talking to people about getting into the multifamily business, it's really, what do I do on day one? How I call it the mountaintop down approach. We all started at the bottom of the mountain and it took us forever to climb to the top. When you got up there, you had a better vantage point and perspective on the marketplace. I've been doing this for 20 years. So I'm close to the top of the mountain. I can see how the industry works. I can map it out and really demystify what it is about our industry that's preventing most people from either getting involved or becoming more successful. So I would encourage everyone, reach out to me on LinkedIn, jump on our monthly call at EXP. We've got a multifamily committee. There's a lot of really smart guys there across the country. There's a good chance for you to bump into a mentor in your geography, but listen to people who've been doing it for a while. It's really a great mix of people who are new in the business. It's an awesome place for people who want to transition from some residential into some commercial. So come to our monthly multifamily committee call and you'll meet a lot of really cool people.
Thank you, Todd. And
Yeah.
this is the big one. I like this from Michael. I hate to say this, Michael. I had to jump in, get you involved because I'm learning from you too with the AI course. So if you want to do this quick, and then I'll go into, your course that you're going to offer next week. So very timely.
Sure. Yeah, just real quick. So I don't do brokerage anymore. I do private portfolio and asset management. So what that means is people who are getting elderly, they don't want to operate their portfolios anymore. We deal with succession planning. We deal with deaths in the family, children that have been passed down, real estate, and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. We work with agents that are out there. So if you bring us a client that has a portfolio they don't know what to do with, the great part is you get to be a part of that. So we'd love to work with you no matter what. But yes, I teach. I would say CCIM is such a fantastic platform to learn. And I teach market analysis. I teach financial analysis. And I also teach artificial intelligence. So we're looking at ways to implement and integrate artificial intelligence in your business workflows. So those tedious tasks that you hate, you'd rather be on the phone talking with people, talking with investors. We're going to teach you how to implement some of this AI and really become a powerhouse in automation. So yeah, it's a 6-week course. It starts next week. Love to see you there. I've got a coupon code there for some of the EXP folks that are on the call. Feel free to use that. We're going to be going through the fundamentals of AI. We're going to go through market analysis. We're going to go through CRM integrations. We're going to go through marketing integrations. It's going to be really powerful and a great way to learn. Honestly, you'll be able to know more about commercial real estate by going through this as well. So look forward to having you there.
Michael, thank you. And thank you, Todd, Eric, for this. And, it's a wealth of knowledge. So I do say, please connect with everyone on LinkedIn, reach out to them. We're going to try to answer as many questions, but a lot of these courses or questions you could reach out individually. We're going to have many experts, panelists on Top Agent Nation, commercial every Wednesdays. And your feedback is very important to us. So whatever you could tell us, how we could do better, what you're interested right now, the value of representation, marketing, I'm going to start working and looking at those to help people really up their game, right? Or whatever we can. And within Top Agent Nation, we always tell people to sign up, get the back agent pass so you can be involved, see what's going on. And we will figure out other ways to do networking mixers until we can find times, whether it's at a CCIM, SIOR, ICSC conference that just happened. And I heard it was fabulous at ICSC. It's starting to get back up there. So, these are the important things that we want to teach people. But thank you again for our inaugural launch. Please give a big hand to Todd, Michael, and Eric for being our first ones to speak, give up their time, and really give some great discounts, benefits, and knowledge to everyone. And I would really encourage everyone to reach out and talk to them and connect through LinkedIn, which you should all have a good LinkedIn account. I don't know how much times I have to press, but everyone have a great day. Thank you so much. And look forward to seeing everyone next week. Have a great weekend, a great Memorial weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate you.